So I'm going to show you guys how I make dubbing today. This is an example of some of the dubbing I've made. I use it for shrimp patterns. I use it for the claws on strong arms. It's a nice combination of natural and synthetic materials. You don't really need a whole lot to do this. You need an old coffee grinder that you've cleaned out and some yarn and some rabbit. For the yarn, I like to pick, I don't remember what brand this is, but you can go to a hobby store, craft store, and you can find some yarn like this. This has a higher percentage of natural fibers in it, like wool and stuff like that. Whereas I have over here two yarns that are the Dave Skokes Vintage Sparkle yarn, which is mostly synthetic. And you're going to end up doing a blend of these. If you want your dubbing to shed water easier, not absorb much water, you're going to want to lean more heavy on the synthetic side. If you want it to absorb some water, then you're going to want to lean heavier on the natural side of things. First thing you're going to do is just take, I like to start with my natural yarn here. It's not 100% natural, it's just a higher percentage of natural fibers in it. And then you're going to take little sections here that are probably about an inch, inch and a half long. And you're going to start chopping them up and tossing them in your coffee grinder. For an average size batch, I usually do 10 of these. After you get that first bit of yarn in there, it's just going to look like yarn in the bottom here. You're going to give it a couple pulses. You don't want to hold down because then it'll all get tangled up in the blades. So we're just going to do some pulses. Check it, and this is what you should be left with here, is this big cottony fluff. If you still have bits of yarn that are still woven together, then you need to do more pulses until it ends up looking like this. So once you have this, I'll usually split it in half, and I'll take half of it and I'll put it in the bottom, set the other half aside, and then I'll start adding my synthetic yarns for more color. I'm starting with kind of a cream tan on this natural stuff because I'm shooting for about the same shade tan as this. So now I'm going to add some of this darker, more bronze tan in here. And how long you cut this yarn is going to dictate how long your fibers and your dubbing are. So if you want a longer dubbing, do longer sections. If you want a really short, fine dubbing, do shorter sections. I'm probably going to do 5 or 6 pieces of this, same length. And then I'm going to do my lighter tan. I'm probably going to do the same thing, about another 5 or 6 pieces here. Now, once those are layered on top of that first half, you're going to take the second half of your fluff, stick it on top, and rinse and repeat. And we're just going to give this thing a couple pulses until it's nicely mixed. Pull it out. You can see the bronze isn't totally mixed in, so I'm going to take it and rip it and mix it up here a little bit. I'm going to throw it back in, give it a couple more pulses. And there we go. So now I have all of this nice fluff in here to help kind of bind it together. I like to add some natural hair in there, so I'm going to be using tan rabbit strip. I'm going to do the same process as before. I'm going to rip about 1/3 of it out, put it in the base, and then we're going to take our rabbit here, pull off a strip, and then cut a little bit of this hair in on top of, make sure you don't get any of this flesh in there. Put a little bit of that on top. Throw in your next third. Chop a little bit more rabbit in there. And then your final third on top. We're gonna blend that up first and see where we're at with rabbit, see if we want to add any more. Looking pretty good. It's still a little clumpy on the rabbit, so I'm gonna do a little bit of rib stacking and then stick it back in. Right, looking pretty decently mixed here. You can see I got this little bit of a clump here. That's from it getting caught in the blades and kind of spinning up. You can break that back up with rip stacking and get it all back incorporated. If you have like any tiny knots that aren't breaking up well, like that there, you can just toss it out. Now I'm going to check it in the color versus what I have. See, what I have is a little bit darker. So I'm going to add a touch more rabbit in here as well. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of the bronze yarn to darken it up a bit. Because I'm getting a decent blob of fluff here, I'm going to break it in half, and I'm just going to blend half at a time so I don't overload that coffee grinder and get more of those tangles in the bottom. Break it up a bit and put half of it down in the bottom. Let's do 2 more of these. A little bit more of this rabbit here. Try and spread this rabbit out a little bit more on top. Add the other fluff on top of that. That's looking more like the desired texture and color that I'm after. So now we're going to do the same thing to the other half. There we go. That's nicely mixed. Colors are nice and matching. Rip stack it all, and now you have a good dubbing that you can use on your shrimp patterns, your crab claws, any of that.